Fallout has gone through more than its fair share of ups and downs. It's had a taste of what it means to win, what it means to lose, and a few things in between. But with the cautiously positive reception of Fallout 4 being almost entirely wiped away by the abysmal, never-ending saga of Fallout 76's constant issues, the series has never been in the place it finds itself in today. Maligned by gamers, old and new to the series, and holding on to a fraction of the credibility it used to have by a thread. While some games maybe had been received less well than others, overall perception of the series and of Bethesda as a whole has not been anything near this low in a very long time, if ever. Obviously, continuing down this path is not an option in any way, and clearly the next Fallout game, whether that's Fallout 5 or anything else, needs to be a drastic reinvention of what it means to be a Fallout game. This is likely to be an uphill battle, but the good news is that Fallout is not the first gaming franchise to find itself in this sort of position, and many others have shown how to get out of it and return to a place of relative prominence. So there are some things that Bethesda can do to lead a massive turnaround for the legendary post-apocalyptic series. Firstly, it's probably time to knock it off with the online multiplayer focus that Fallout 76 was going for. You could argue that the massive online multiplayer genre might have and could still work for Fallout if done right, but it's unavoidably apparent at the moment that Bethesda just doesn't quite know how to pull it off in a way that fits with Fallout. So for now, they should just scrap it. Now that doesn't mean that an online mode couldn't still be a part of the next Fallout game, but wrapping the entire experience around it is probably not right for the franchise, at least for now. Even if they did somehow do it correctly, the very idea of another always online Fallout multiplayer game would immediately turn fans off and would likely be review bombed into oblivion. And rightly so, as you can't project a sense of reinvention by sticking with the same playbook that led Fallout to where it is today. At the very least, going back to the open world action RPG genre that Fallout 4 occupied would be a good place to start from. As such, a back-to-basics approach is probably what's called for here in several other areas. As a matter of plain fact, Fallout should consider returning to what Fallout 3 and 4 got right, with a bustling world, lots of lore, and plenty of interesting characters and enemies to come across. Variety is the spice of life, and it is also the spice of a good Fallout game. Fallout 4 understood this well, so the next Fallout game should more than adequately lean into the multi-layered armor system, weapon variety, base building, and character-driven narratives that the series was known for before Fallout 76 came along. This likely means Bethesda should take a long, hard look at the few games that came out before 76, pinpoint what they got right and what fans liked about them, and build out those elements instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. While innovation in certain areas is always something to entertain in gaming, right now, with Fallout being in the state that it is, this is probably not the time to be inventing new experimental subgenres and throwing wacky ideas at the wall to see what sticks. This is a time of critical self-reflection for the Fallout series, and the next game needs to reflect what's best about the franchise, and not turn it into a vehicle for Bethesda to test out wild, untested concepts. At this point, they should know what fans like about the previous few games and what they don't. They need to take that information in and put it to use for the next game. Another more fundamental element for the Fallout games that needs a drastic change is the engine itself. While Fallout 4 certainly didn't look bad, and even Fallout 76 had its moments of visual beauty if you could manage to stumble into a moment when everything was working correctly, it's no secret that the creation engine has run its course, at least in its current form. The creation engine, at the very least, needs a complete and thorough overhaul with new tools, new optimization methods, and a much higher ceiling for the depth and versatility of its games. Alternatively, it could be scrapped in favor of something completely new. Odds are this would set the next Fallout game and potentially the new Elder Scrolls game back a bit, but In the end, it's totally possible that it could be worth the wait, as fans would get a better, more future-proof game, and Bethesda would thusly see bigger profits as a result. I trust Bethesda to make the right call here, as they do have all the information they need to do so, but I don't feel like the need for an overhaul of the back end of these games can be underlined enough. It just needs to happen. Another element that the next Fallout game needs is something that might seem to conflict with everything else I've said about the game, going back to the Fallout rulebook, but even still, Fallout 5 needs something fresh about it, an X factor, whether that's something as integral as a new alignment of gameplay mechanic priorities, or something as superficial as a wildly new setting, like something in the distant future perhaps. It's up to them to decide, but in order for Fallout to make the positive splash that they need to wipe away the lingering negativity of 76, they cannot simply just make a Fallout 5 that is just more of Fallout 4. Sure, that might be a way to recover some of their street cred, but if Bethesda is serious about returning to their former glory and regaining the respect they once had from their fanbase, something very massively positive needs to happen as a result of a fundamental sea change in philosophy on the part of the company. Fallout is certainly in a pickle here, and while there are probably a few ways out of it, those paths are narrow and fragile. One more wrong move for the franchise, and it could do way more damage to its brand than it already has. Yet, small incremental improvements, while still positive, would at best just bring the series to a state of meh for most. Fallout needs to get serious about itself again, embrace what it has done right in the past, fearlessly discard what it didn't, and introduce something new to the franchise to give its fans a reason to buy a new game, instead of just replaying the older ones. Time will tell if they are able and willing to pull it together, but I suspect the wealth of criticism they have gotten over the past year could be a blessing in disguise if they are willing to face it head on. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed and would like to see more, feel free to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to ensure you'll be notified when new videos go up.